Welcome to the first Take Flight presentation covering multisensory instruction. Hi, I'm Holly Aranda, your instructor for Take Flight. Multisensory instruction is one important dimension of the practices approaches useful with students who have problems with language learning, including reading and writing. Multisensory methods of teaching language-related academic skills focus on the structure and the use of sounds, syllables, words, sentences, and written discourse. We know from research that effective instruction is multisensory. This instruction is explicit, systematic, cumulative, and sequential. We know that students gain confidence in their ability with experience and support of a teacher. Take Flight contains all the 5 components of reading, which we know from the National Reading Panel includes phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. Multisensory instruction promotes achievement for all students. Students are active participants in this learning process. Multisensory teaching uses all learning pathways in the brain simultaneously in order to enhance memory and learning. Although multisensory teaching practices have been embraced by clinicians and teachers since the earliest teaching guides were written, they have seldom been well-defined or adequately validated by sophisticated research methods. Let's look at the process of reading. Reading begins with a thought in the frontal lobe of the brain. For instance, when the reader sees the letter B on a page, the occipital lobe is activated in the back part of the brain. Once he sees the letter, he will make the sound B for reading. This process uses the sensory strip part of the brain, which is located down the middle of the brain. Next, he hears the sound using the auditory part of the brain just behind the ears. The idea that learning experience through all senses is helpful in reinforcing memory has a long history in pedagogy. Samuel Orton is known for his work in neurology. He used to say that individuals had word blindness for those who had difficulty reading due to what is known as dyslexia. He is often referred to today as the godfather of dyslexia. Samuel Orton was influenced by the kinesthetic method described by Grace Fernald and Helen Keller. He suggested that kinesthetic tactile reinforcement of visual and auditory associations could correct the tendency of reversing letters and transposing the sequence of letters while reading and writing. Anna Gillingham and Bessie Stillman used Dr. Orton's theories to write the original teaching manual using the alphabetic method. They combined multisensory techniques to teach the structure of written English, which includes sounds, phonemes, meaningful units, morphemes, and common spelling rules. The phrase Orton-Gillingham approach refers to the structured sequential multisensory techniques established by Dr. Orton and Ms. Gillingham and their colleagues. Auditory memory is where Broca's area of the brain sends information to be stored for later retrieval. Many of our students have a poor auditory memory. Multisensory teaching is going to help those students remember sounds and then connect those sounds to words and be able to read words in complete sentences. Visual memory is being able to recognize symbols and understand when we see a symbol, it has a sound behind it. Visual memory helps our students to be able to identify the symbol that goes along with a specific sound. The sounds are phonemes and they make up words, and then words in turn make up phrases and sentences. The tactile kinesthetic learner loves learning through touching and using manipulatives. The muscle movement, even with handwriting, helps our students retain new learning as they are discovering the sound and the shape of a new letter. Multisensory training is the reinforcement for dyslexic students. They store information inefficiently. Most people only need 5 to 50 repetitions, but dyslexics need 500 to 5,000 repetitions. Repeat, repeat, repeat. The phonological loop, the part that stores the small segments of speech information, and the visuospatial loop, the part that stores graphic information of working memory, are important to reading. Using both of these simultaneously increases the chance of moving information to long-term memory. We know that many students need direct instruction. We know that many of these students have been diagnosed with a specific learning disability in the area of reading and/or dyslexia. We also know that there are lots of regular education children that are very intensive for reading. We know from our data that these students would benefit from this type of instruction, using data to drive instruction. Direct instruction includes the teacher taking the student through multiple steps very systematically, helping them see both the purpose and the result of each step. Direct instruction helps gain and maintain our students' attention. It keeps them moving through the lesson, and it's more guided and directed. We want to continue with direct instruction, keeping our students' attention. We allow for varied responses, which gives them motivation to keep going through the lesson, and then we provide immediate corrective feedback as needed. Explicit instruction has the teacher stating clearly what is being taught and helping the student discover what the new skill is. We also model how it is to be used before asking the student to do something independently. It is very systematic and cumulative, so every concept that's learned is practiced every day. As we build on that, we keep introducing new learning, but always reviewing prior learning each day. All levels of language are introduced. We know we have 44 sounds in English. English is the most difficult language to learn. Many of our students don't hear the sounds in our language because in Broca's area of the brain they have phonological processing problems. So this instruction is going to help our students not just learn the new sounds and symbols, but it's going to help them understand how those sounds are made into words and how words fit into sentences and then sentences into paragraphs for long-term memory. So discovering learning is linking that old information to new information and the relationship between the two. We constantly review and link the old information to new information. Discovery learning holds the attention of the learner. The new concepts are introduced in a way that the learner can discover what the new concept is. It holds the student accountable for their own learning, and it's also very motivating while building their self-confidence, so the teacher is actually facilitating the student's learning but not giving answers. We do Socratic questioning. This helps our students build their confidence. It helps them understand that they are part of their own learning as they discover the new information, and then we help them to continue to learn and link that new information and apply it and connect it to text. Guided questioning is very focused. We guide our students to elicit responses. For example, if we make the sound of p, we have our students discover, is this a voiced or unvoiced sound? We also help them discover that all words have vowels and consonants. In this situation, the consonant P would be an unvoiced sound, and it is a consonant sound. Metacognition is the awareness and understanding of how one thinks and uses strategies. And we want our students to be able to think about their own thinking and have some accountability for their own learning. Metacognition allows for active learning. It helps students have a mental search for making those connections between prior information and new information. It also helps them to think about their own thinking processes and strategies. And again, our ultimate goal in reading, as we all know, is comprehension. The mastery model for learning and teaching starts out by linking prior knowledge to new learning. And we present that new learning through a discovery that activates that prior knowledge. This reinforces the new learning and also builds on prior learning, which is cumulative. When we teach to mastery, we're talking about storing this information and moving it from short-term memory to long-term memory so that our students are successful. So we review, we practice, and then our ultimate goal is mastery of that new learning, everything coming together. Because new learning is very cumulative, we're constantly building on prior knowledge from previously taught information. This concludes the first Take Flight PowerPoint. You will get to see multisensory teaching in action in the upcoming videos.